Oh, yeah. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA. We're going to be talking about, guess what? Creative again today. But I think this is the best one I've seen in a long time because it's from someone who knows what they're talking about, Craig Huey. Okay, and before we do that, let's get over. So Arapahoe Basin is up in Colorado, and there's no shortage of places to ski. Oops, got to get over here to this. So we ambushed skiers headed to other resorts to show them what makes A-Basin legendary. And they went around a parking lot and said, "Where are you headed today?" And Keystone or Copper or Winter Park or whatever it was, Mary Jane. And I've been to all of those. And I've also been to A-Basin, but this commercial, it's more like a documentary. Just it brought back so many memories. So they put them all on a bus, and
been excited to show you the place. It just happens to be the best ski area in the world.
Okay, so here they're getting up. It's also, I think, one of the highest in North America. I think it's 14,000 feet up by Loveland Pass. And it brought back memories for me because I've gone off. They didn't really show the cliffs, but there are just astounding. There's actually ski runs up here. And to my right, there's a cliff. And when I was there, which was the 70s, so this is 50 years ago almost, they would put out picnic tables. They didn't really have a lodge. They just put out picnic tables. I think this is new. And in a sort of a flat spot, and they would grill chickens out in the sunshine. And I think I only skied there once. It was such a monumentous experience that I actually bought an A-Basin hat off the ski lift operator because there was no lodge. There was no place to buy, souvenirs or anything like that. At the end, it looks like they're eating out in the sunshine, and I think they may still do that, but that was like the only place you could get lunch.
When I woke up this morning.
007, who's getting
and so they just had this big party.
This has been the best day skiing I've ever had in my life.
Okay.
Love this place, and we'll definitely be back.
And there's a lot of
ambush was absolutely worth it.
Okay, so there they go, and a lot of fun. So let's get over to the text version of this. Oops. Boom. And this is from Adland TV by Dabich. And tells a story, and I forgot to highlight it. But the Cactus team surprised unsuspecting early risers, offering them a choice to continue their plan of the day or join in an A-Basin adventure. And Gus is an Olympic medalist. He joked, "I'm totally non-creepy way I can't even read it. In a totally non-creepy way, we want you to get on our bus." So I can remember skiing the west side through the trees, and it was so high up. You come from Wisconsin, and this is like 12,000 feet or whatever. I also remember climbing up to the weather station and looking out over the entire Rocky Mountains because it was a bright sunny day, which is not that common up there. And or you may have clouds below you. I remember standing on a cliff and seeing the ski tips sticking out below me. And nothing else. You can't see anything else, and you just dive over the edge. And somebody else did it. I can do it. That's how you do it. So anyway, thank you for that one. It brought back so many great memories. Okay, top CMOs spooked about Musk's coming MMA appearance. Now, I wasn't sure if Musk was going to get in the cage with the UFC fighters, or maybe he was going to sit with Joe Rogan and have a smoke and commentate for MMA, but it turns out this is not, this is the mobile marketing Marketing Association. Okay, what a great name. And they're worried about Twitter's lost a lot of their big advertisers. Revenues are supposedly down about 60% since October 2022. And Musk's racist rhetoric. Now, I follow Elon Musk, and he has now passed Barack Obama for the number of followers on Twitter. It's like 192 million or some crazy number. And I don't remember ever seeing a racist comment. I can't think of any. So, but Musk defended Dilbert comic strip creator Scott Adams. This is total lies. This is just total lies. Scott follows me on Twitter, and I follow him back, and we exchange messages. And he's left of Bernie Sanders. I mean, this article is just complete garbage. Let's see, Carlene, I'll reach out to you, and you need to really, really rethink your disinformation. I have to say, I do read digital news every day almost, and this is just ridiculous. And if you read what Scott Adams, or you watch his show that was this infamous show, or watch his interview about it with Hotep Jesus, I think you'll get a better view of Scott. But anyway, so we label people as racist, and it's just defamation, in my opinion. Okay, and this is good though. By giving Musk a stage, we've signed up to broker an important discussion that must be managed with I don't know about managed, but they should listen to him. Most harmed by his actions. Twitter is so much better now because you read something crazy, you think it's crazy. It could be left or right. I have 4,000 followers on Twitter, and I get a lot of both. But what's fun is that when you get into the comments, you get both back. You get both sides of an argument. Where else can you do that? I've gotten to be a huge fan of Twitter and a huge fan of Musk for doing that. Okay, and but you got to get out there on it. You got to get back in it. And I used to have my show post every day up there, but then Restream limited my number of channels, so it's only YouTube and LinkedIn. So if you're here on LinkedIn, that's what's going on. So I hate to be so controversial, but they're taking on my friend Scott Adams, who does write me back most of the time, although I sent him something a little crazy last week and I didn't hear back from him, so I'll reach out to him. We're also connected on LinkedIn, in FYI. So 15 surprising results increasing rules to follow. And this is so good because it is from Craig Huey, who's got, 40 or 50 years of actually testing stuff. We did one of his on headlines yesterday, I think. Direct mail art is more challenging than you might first think, and it's more impactful than you might think. Many direct mail campaigns have been crippled or destroyed because the artist violated critical rules that have been proven successful. Oh, and I went over to scientificadvertising.com yesterday, and the price has gone up. I'm sorry, but it's $5, $4.99 for the book. But it's got pictures now, and it's excellent. And that would be a great place to start to extend the training that you're seeing here. But the part I left out yesterday that I felt bad about after I hung up, I go and I go and I go and then I stop. Sorry about that. But if you watch every day, you'll pick up all of the nuances. So the biggest breakthrough we had was when we got the results back, and we were doing catalogs generally in the design team I was working with. We did about 24 different catalogs for different brands like Pop Pontiac and 3M and Caterpillar Tractor and Abbott Labs and just a bunch of really big names that cared about their branding and imprinted merchandise. And we could see which items sold the best. And so we would sit down with the art team, maybe buy them lunch, and sit down at lunchtime so we don't take away slowing down other projects. And we would sit down with them and we would show them on a page which items sold the best. And we would discuss what we might do to help the sales. One of the biggest breakthroughs we ever had was we were selling a genuine Victorinox Swiss Army knife. But the way they did it, they would take an extrusion of your logo and they would slice it real thin, and then they would mold the red plastic around it so that it would never wear off. Okay, just like the Victorinox, genuine Victorinox insignia never wears off. But they could only imprint one side. So if you did your logo, the Victorinox, mine did come off. Okay, this was my father's, and it's really old. You can still see it. It's sort of like embossed in it now. It's kind of nice. But anyway, so you couldn't show the Victorinox insignia and a brand on the little knife. Those little knives here, I do have it here. And so they weren't selling the way they should. And at the same time, it's just the little one. See the little one? They weren't selling as they should, and ours were about $15 or something. They're expensive little buggers. And at the time, there were some really inferior Chinese knockoffs. Nothing wrong with Chinese, and they're probably making them today. But in those days, it was definitely inferior, and it was really inexpensive. So it was like $2 compared to our $15 one. And so we talked about it, and what we decided to do was show the big, fully opened Swiss Army knife with the Victorinox on it, with the Swiss cross. And the next catalog, we sold only $5,000 worth of the big one. Not many of those. But we sold 80,000 in one drop of the little ones, because putting them in close proximity made the statement that this was the genuine Swiss Army knife. And you can do that with the creative, and if the creative team participates in looking at the sales and a big, huge win, and how creative can complement, right? Instead of everybody griping about, oh, you're taking away all the white space, you're making it look schlocky. I was famous for that accusation, getting schlocking it up. Okay, well, and anyway, so talk with your design team. Explain to them how these rules work. That may be the most important thing I've said, at least this week. Anyway, the next thing is copy is king. And what I mean by copy can be pretty broad. It could be offer. It could be the headline. It can be a lot of things, but it is the actual information. And too often I see, almost all the time on e-commerce, I see items that have no size reference. Down lower in the article, Craig says, it's better to show an item in someone's hand than just blank, because it's a size reference. And by size reference, I mean, put a quarter in there or put a paper clip in there or something in the photo to give somebody an idea of how big or small this is. Okay? But don't detract from the copy. This is so good. You're going to have to download this. Go over to wdma.org. Okay, always use serif. The copy must always be given visual prominence. When other visual or graphic elements dominate, regardless of how beautiful they are, they serve only as a distraction. Do you know how much baloney I see in these creative articles? This one is gold. Okay, this is the place to start, and then you go over to scientificadvertising.com and Claude Hopkins. There's a lot of wheels spinning in here. Claude Hopkins explains the testing that direct mailers have done to establish these principles, which are the same since I was beginning in direct mail. Always use serif type style, which is not what this article is set in. I went back and looked at the original blog post, and it's not in it either. He could have been, but it isn't. But he's not trying to sell as much on the blog post. Okay, so this is sans serif. See that? Straight, no little footies on the bottom of the type, okay? But, and I don't know where I can get you. The whole internet is like this, and he says Times New Roman is the standard, but it's boring as a headline. You might want to use Helvetica or Arial as a more common name for it. Body copy, Garamond, but there aren't, this is if you're using, I don't know that Garamond is the best on the internet. My logo is Garamond. I don't know if I have a business card handy or anything with my logo on it. Probably not. I got a golf ball up there that I could show you, but it's a little bit small. Okay, and so he's got a lot of stuff about type size for body copy. And I did an analysis of the advertising for the Billy Graham Association for their annuity division. And what we found was that he said for the mature market, we often use 12 or 13 point type size. The market for the annuity division was elderly women. And if it went below 9, it didn't just, you could see it decreasing the smaller it got. But when it got to 9, if you went to 8 point for the body copy, there were no responses. It went to 0. That was a shocker for me, because occasionally they did it in 8 point type and it got no responses, 0. So this stuff is gold. They paid thousands of dollars for me to do that analysis. I looked at about, I don't know, it seems to me dozens and dozens at least, maybe 100 ads they'd placed over a couple of years. And we tried to find key factors, and the type size was by far the biggest surprise in there. Okay, he's got leading, interesting. It basically says you can set more type closer together, a smaller line between each row of type than you think. Leading is from the old days of linotype with lead, literally lead strips in between the rows of type when it was hand set. Avoid the temptation to use right margin justification. Indenting paragraphs helps. Optimal column widths. Avoid long paragraphs. I see this violation all the time. Long sentences, long paragraphs, especially if you're using Chat GPT to write your copy. Long paragraphs. It loves to be redundant. Okay, 5 things to avoid. White type on a black background. Type over a picture. Large type or type printed over dark Ben-Day screen or on a dark paper. I know what that means, but you may not. Large sections of italics. Use warm colors, especially for food. 2 or 3 colors is optimum. Using 4 colors, this was gold too. Using 4 colors usually doesn't increase response enough to offset the extra expense. If you can find a printer that prints in less than 4 colors, most of them don't anymore. And so, Craig, I'd like to know where you print, where you find a little duplicator or an Insti-printer or something. I used to sell Insti-print, and for Wisconsin Graphics, and that's what we had. We had, I think, 2 color presses, and then we'd run them through a couple of times. We outsourced the 4 color. Use photos of people. Almost always can improve response by putting in testimonials. Always have a caption. This is just the greatest stuff. This is really, really, really true. Okay, stuff on the order form. Busy isn't necessarily bad. Be willing to sacrifice white space to have room for readable body copy. Oh, yeah. Okay, so go over to WDMA.org and subscribe. And if you haven't, you should. And you can also come to the meetups where we have real direct marketers talking about how to improve your results. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will know you're smart. Bye-bye.